Welcome to Beyond Understood, o podcast para alunos de inglês que já conseguem se comunicar, mas querem ir além de apenas serem entendidos. Nesse episódio eu converso com o Victor sobre dinheiro e o impacto que ele tem nas nossas vidas. E entre uma pergunta e outra eu comento o que eu gostei do inglês dele e o que nós podemos melhorar. Se você gostou do meu método e quer experimentar na prática, junte-se ao meu Speaking Club. Você pode saber mais no link lipfuba.com/club. Enjoy the podcast. What was the most expensive thing you ever bought? And do you regret it?
All right. Probably, just let me think. Oh no, definitely was my marriage. Yeah. And if I regret it, probably yes. Also, I expected that my wife doesn't hear that, but because we actually, to be totally transparent, to have totally transparency with you, we kind of discuss about it a lot, and we decide. I just explain my points about spend all this money with the marriage and the stuffs, because in my opinion is a one day party, and the people came to there to eat and obviously enjoy with us. But I kind of had another plans to this part of the money, but was a dream of her. So we kind of decide together that this should happen between us, you know.
So don't show her this video then, because she'll find
Yeah,
out.
exactly. I won't share with her.
So it was a big wedding then.
Wasn't a big wedding. How many was a kind of 70, 80 at tops, but it was a small one. But yeah, but I spent around 3 digits. I don't know if this is a common expression in English, but
yeah, usually I guess maybe you're thinking of like a 6-digit number.
6 digits. Yeah.
So for example, 100,000, because you have the 1 and 5 zeros, right? So that makes it a 6-digit. But that's a good phrase.
So the 3 numbers before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And probably this was. So this was what I most expensive that I have bought, but yes, I regret it.
Yeah, so I like that phrase. So let's say 6-digit number. Yeah, so you could also say I have a 6-digit salary. The wedding was in the 6 digits. Yeah, so those are interesting ways to use that phrase. I really like that. Okay. Notice that you said marriage at first, but then I said the word wedding. Can you guess what the difference is between marriage and wedding?
The marriage is the act of being married, I guess, and the wedding is more like the party, how this will happen, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Okay. So the wedding is the party, as you said it.
Yeah.
And marriage, we can think about it as the institution. So people often talk about marriage as, marriage is a traditional institution or is a dying institution, depending on who you ask, because many people get divorced as well. Hopefully that's not going to be you guys. You did use a word that I liked very much. You used the word transparent. So you said to be transparent. Really nice phrase. We could also just say to be honest.
To be honest, all right.
That possibly is more common, but more common doesn't mean better. It just means you're going to hear it more often. Yeah. So to be transparent is very fancy. I like that very much.
Oh, really? Yeah, good to know.
Because transparent comes from Latin, And in English, there is Latin words have a tendency of being fancy. They're more elegant than that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mhm.
And
Let me see. Oh, go ahead.
when you said the marriage is more an institution, um, how can I translate, for example, to English when I say cartório in Portuguese?
Hmm,
I- Is more related with or not
sure.
with
So,
the
yeah, what I mean by institution, I mean it's a little bit like the status.
okay.
So you're single, you're married. So we have kind
All
of
right.
this
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
Now,
Now I got it.
cartório, in English, there are two possible places you can go that we would call cartório. So you have the registry office. So this is where you would go, for example, to get a birth certificate, a marriage certificate. So there you go. It's a marriage certificate, right? Not a wedding certificate. And you have
Yeah.
the notary office, which is where you would go to notarize documents, right? To say that they are official, that they are true. Usually, when we have to sign a piece of paper, we need to get it
Yeah.
notarized.
So it's similar with here in Brazil, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess so. I want to say
Yeah.
that in Brazil, we basically have the one cartório. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I had to go to.
No, we have the two kinds. So
Mm,
if we gonna buy some oh my god, I forgot the word. Some it's not a furniture. It's a
like,
place, apartment, or a
mm-hmm.
house, and we go to a kind of registry offices. So if we're gonna get married, um, probably will be a different one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm trying to remember now. Imóvel in English because it also escapes my mind.
Yeah,
Let's see. Real estate. I was hoping for a different word, but real estate or property.
yeah, and it's a good word to start to talk about finance, right?
Sure. If you purchase a new property, you should go to the registry office.
When you say purchase, is more as you said about the transparent. It's more a fancy word to say that I bought, or it's for different reason.
No, that's exactly it. It's just
Yeah.
fancier.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes, because what happens is, what makes a word fancier in general? It's the context. So it's used in more specific contexts. It's more specific. So, for example, I can use the word run, but then I can also use the word jog. I can use the word trot. There are different ways to talk about running, for example, but you have run.
All
So
right.
run is like the basic word, and the other ones that are more specific kinds of running, they are fancier. But the most important thing is how often it is used. So the word buy is used a lot, right? We use it all
Oh,
the
okay.
time. The word purchase is still very much used, but a little bit less than buy because buy it is more common. So we would
All
say
right.
it's fancier because of that.
Okay.
So you can ask me the next question.
Oh, yeah. So, how easy it's for you to save money and why?
It's pretty easy because my dad, he is, because he's alive, a very cheap person. So if you offer to give him money, he would negotiate and try to get more money out of you. I remember it was always a bit embarrassing going shopping because he would bargain a whole lot. He was like, "Oh, it's 250, but can you make it like 200?" He would bargain all the time, and sometimes I have this memory of asking him to buy me a Super Nintendo when I was a kid. It
Yeah.
was very difficult. I had to go to hospital. I had food poisoning. I was shedding blood. Sorry
Just
for
in
the
special situations.
too much information, but I was like in bed in the hospital, and then my mom told me, if you want your father to get you something, ask him now that you're in hospital. And I was like, okay, Dad, can I have a Super Nintendo if I survive? I just had food poisoning. And he was like, okay. But then we went to like five different shops and he bargained in each one of them until he found the best deal. And so I learned that from him and to always save money. I've never had a problem where I didn't have the money I needed. I
Yeah,
never buy anything. I pay installments when it's useful in Brazil, right? If
yeah,
there is no interest. But I always have the money to pay up front. And I think it's mostly because of my dad. So it's pretty easy for me. What about you?
yeah. Just to comment, here in Brazil, we usually say that it looks like a Turkish guy from Turkey.
Ah, okay. Sure. A
Yeah.
Turk.
Have you ever heard about here in Brazil?
I haven't heard it, but
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense because Turks do have this reputation, right?
Yeah. So
And
here in Brazil, we usually say when a person, it's more like how you describe, as you describe. Sorry, um,
mhm. Yeah, I said cheap.
cheap. Okay, cheap.
Cheap, like not expensive, cheap.
Okay. And for me, a few years ago, wasn't, but after my dad had a stroke a few years
Mm.
ago, so about seven, I guess, 7 or 8. And after that, he lost his job, and he wasn't a guy like your father. So he had 3 jobs, but he didn't save money at all. So when he lost his job, and I was, I guess, in the high school, probably, I start to understand, because when he lost his job, he he didn't have any savings, and he started to depend of my mom and from me and start. So this was a huge impact in my life, and I start to think about it a lot, and telling and talked with myself that I wouldn't like to, how can I say that, I wouldn't like to pass through the same thing. And since then, it's more like a movie, yeah. But since then, I I'm trying to save money every month. So
Yeah, that's very good, man.
yeah, I
It's
don't know if I could explain all the history, but I guess that's it.
you did.
Yeah,
And it is I'm trying to remember something. It's a common, I think it's a common saying. It's a thing people say, but it's very true. You know, a smart person learns from their mistakes,
yeah,
but a wise person learns from the mistakes of others.
yeah,
So
exactly.
it's something like that. Maybe it's not exactly that. And you kind of demonstrated that, right? So your father was in a horrible situation, like your whole family, but you
Yeah,
managed to learn something good out of it. So
yeah, it
that's
was exactly what's happened. And a few months ago, 6 months ago, I discovered that I'm gonna be dad.
oh,
Yeah. So now this more like increase my goal.
congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you know if it's a boy or girl yet?
Oh, it's a boy.
Okay.
Yeah,
Have you,
his name will be Oliver.
that's a good name.
Yeah.
That's a very good name. It's good in Brazil and abroad as well. So that's
Yeah,
very useful.
exactly. I have this dream to one day, who knows, go to abroad, lives there. I don't know exactly which country, but it's an option. That's the reason that I start to learn English.
That's a very good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. it will make your life much easier, even if it's not the US. If you can speak English, it will work
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
Um,
Whatever we go, probably will help.
mhm. Yeah, I have students that manage to move to Germany, to France, to Belgium, just because they spoke English. So they don't speak, but they're learning the local language because they're not stupid people. They understand they need to speak the local language,
Yeah,
but they manage to go there and have a good job and live in a good place just because of English. So that's a very good reason.
yeah. At least in the first months, probably you're gonna communicate.
Mm-hmm.
So English will help. My sister actually lives in Canada about 5 years ago. 5 years ago, sorry, about 5 years. So she's living there, and this kind of uh, increase my chances
Mm-hmm.
to go. You know.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that very well. Let's see. So I did mention that my dad is cheap.
Cheap.
So,
All right.
so most people know cheap as the opposite of expensive, right? And that is true. If you use it to talk about things, it means that. So I can say this is a cheap phone, so that means it doesn't cost a lot of money. But if you use it to talk about a person, then you're describing someone that doesn't like to spend money. So as I said, my dad is very cheap. So that would mean he doesn't like to spend money.
I usually hear when we say, "Oh, it's I don't know, I am a Batman person and you are a Superman person," something like that. You can use "I am a cheap person"
Sure,
as
yes.
this example, as an example,
Yes, you
or
can.
yeah.
I'm a
Oh,
cheap
I'm more,
person.
yeah.
We
Okay.
can. You don't have to use the word person. You can just say I'm cheap.
Okay.
I'm trying not to be cheap. Just
Okay.
like if
Sounds
you
more
can,
natural.
I guess it's just because there are fewer words. You know, it's the same way that you can say to your wife, "You're beautiful." You can say, "You're a
Uh,
beautiful woman." "You're a beautiful person." But you can just say you're
okay.
beautiful. And
Yeah.
also, everything is correct. It's just you're adding more words. So another word I used a few times was the verb to bargain. Right?
All
We
right.
probably want to say to negotiate in Portuguese. So we
Yeah.
negotiate
Yeah.
price. We bargain. So my dad would bargain every time he purchased something. So use the verb purchase that you used earlier.
Yeah.
Uh,
I got a you are French person.
the movie, what is it called? Doctor Strange. There is a scene that became very famous because of the verb bargain. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but at the end of
Yeah,
the
I have
movie,
seen.
yeah, he goes
But
like, "I've
which
come."
one?
The
The
first one,
first one? All right.
he says, "I've come to bargain," and then something happens. That is,
Oh,
well, if someone listens to this, they haven't watched the movie. He dies, but it's a
yeah.
movie from like 2014 or something, so you should have watched already.
It's when I arrived in the monastery, right?
No, it's at the end of the movie. He
Oh,
dies, but not really. So he comes every time. He says, "I've come to bargain. I've come to bargain," because he wants to bargain. In this case, it's not money. He's bargaining. He's negotiating the future of the planet
okay.
against like this alien guy that wants to destroy the planet. Yeah, so he came to bargain to negotiate for the planet. In Brazil, it's very common to pay for things in installments. So I mentioned
Yeah,
that earlier. You can pay upfront when you pay all the money, right? So if like the course is 2,000 real, you pay upfront, you pay the 2,000 real, but you can pay in 12 installments. So that's going to
yeah,
be, I don't know, uh, 200 something,
yeah,
because there's always interest. Not always, but often there is interest in the payment, right? That makes the price a little bit higher. Now, you were telling me about the story of your dad, and I thought about the verb phrase to fall. back on. So you could say, my dad was a big spender. So the opposite of a cheap person, we would say, is a big spender.
Yeah.
So he didn't have much money to fall back on. So in this case, you can think about, when people do those trust exercises where you have to fall, and someone has to catch
Yeah.
you,
Uh-huh.
right? So it's a bit like that. So if he had a problem and he falls, you can have something to break the fall, right?
Yeah.
To make sure that you don't get hurt. So we can use it in this case like that. So he didn't have the money to break his fall to make it okay. So he had
All right.
many problems. When
And
you're
sorry, go ahead.
okay, so just to finish this, I can also say when your son is older, you can say something like, feel free to follow your dreams. You always have me to fall back on. Meaning, if there's a problem, whoop, you'll
Oh,
catch
I
it.
got it. Yeah. And when usually we use those kind of words as cheap or expanded, as you say, we won't use more or less this unique word. Already explained the impact, right? It's wrong if I say, for example, oh, it's more spent or more spender, right?
If you're talking about a person, yeah, so just big spender.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Okay.
dad is a big spender. So he spends, I understand he spends a lot of money.
Yeah. Okay.
There was something you said. You mentioned, I think I passed. Oh yes, okay. So I think you said I didn't want to pass through
Yeah.
this experience. So you were talking about the situation with your dad.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
in Portuguese, we do say pass. Yeah, so he passed for that. I passed through the situation. In English, it wouldn't work though. So you have two options. You can substitute pass for go. So I didn't want to go through this experience, and then it works fine. And
Yeah.
you can also use the verb experience. And then I don't want to say I didn't want to experience this experience because that would be uh,
Yeah.
it would be grammatically okay, but it would sound weird. You could say I didn't want to experience this or the same. Let's put it this way.
All right.
To go through, to experience something. Yeah. But they both work,
Oh, great. I didn't know that.
just not pass. We
Yeah.
should use
In
pass.
which uh, case we usually use the pass, or this even exists?
It does. So, for example, if you're playing soccer, you pass the ball.
All right.
If you are sitting at a table, I can ask, can you pass me the salt? So grab the salt, give it to me.
Okay.
If you're playing a game and it's your turn and you don't have anything to do, it's like pass. So pass to the
Okay.
next person. So you can use it in certain ways, just not in the because we kind of in Portuguese we like to use pass to mean to talk about a situation, something that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that wouldn't work in English, but other cases you can.
All right. I got it.
For this idea of situation, these are the best options to go through to experience.
All right.
And I think I said earlier. So if you're from Turkey, usually you could describe a person as a Turk.
Turk.
Yes,
All
my
right.
neighbor is a Turk, so I understand he comes from Turkey.
When I said Turkish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Turkish exists. It's the adjective. So you would use Turkish plus another word. For example, Turkish Airlines. I've never flown Turkish Airlines. I believe it's a company. Have
Okay.
you? eaten Turkish delights, which I believe is like candy. It's also the language, so I don't speak Turkish. Or this is a Turkish car. That's a Turkish author. And so you can use it as an adjective, but
Yeah.
as for the person, you would say Turk.
Turkey.
It's
All right.
mhm. It's a bit like the word Spanish, for example. So you can say he is Spanish. You can use it as an adjective. You can use it to talk about the language. But no, actually, he's Turkish. You can say he's Turkish, yes. Now that I said he's Spanish, I realized, yes, we also use the adjective. So never mind that. You can say Turkish or Turk. Yes, it's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. No problem. But Turkey more like how can I say that? It's more informal way to say, or when I
No,
reduce, or no, it's the same.
it's just a different type of word. So Turkish
Okay.
is an adjective and Turk is a noun. So
Ah,
for
okay.
example, Spanish is another adjective, and you have the word Spaniard, which would be the noun.
Spaniard.
It doesn't change the meaning, it just changes the type of word and how you would use it in a sentence.
Ah, okay. I have never hear Spaniard.
Mm-hmm.
Spaniard is this how we pronounce?
Yep. Yep. Spaniard. Some nationalities, they are both an adjective and a verb. Sorry, an adjective and a noun. For example, Brazilian. This is a Brazilian car. I'm Brazilian. Argentinian, German, American, Canadian. Others are only adjectives. Japanese, Cantonese, other things ending in "ese" that I don't remember right now. But yeah,
All this side of the that
yeah.
side of the word.
But it's just essentially it's just the type of word. It doesn't change the meaning. So you can say Turk, you can say Turkish.
Okay. Now I got it.
All right. I added a few new questions. So let's see. I'm gonna pick the question for you, and you can already start looking and choose a question for me afterwards.
Okay. Fire up.
Mm-hmm. I like I like the last question. Do you think
Okay.
it's do you think it's true that money cannot buy happiness?
Oh. Um I consider myself a rational person, and I it's a tough question. Just let me think. Just let me rationalize. I don't know if this
No problem.
if
Take your
it's a
time.
true
No need
true
to rush.
yeah, true money cannot buy happiness. Uh, I believe the money can bring me comfortable situations, um, can provide to me and my family a good health, a good apartment, but uh, I believe this more like a combination of stuffs. So the money gonna have to be there, because otherwise I believe that I won't be happy if I couldn't provide something to my family, So for myself, I can love my wife. She can loves me as well. But if I considering in a situation that I couldn't be allowed to provide something, a good house or good food for her, for myself, probably I won't be happier. I That's it. Makes sense to
Yes,
you, or?
it does. It sounds to me like you were thinking more about your role. You'll use the word I like to very much, provider,
Yeah.
and that comes with a responsibility, and that by um, fulfilling that responsibility, it brings you happiness,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I don't know why exactly word, but it's more like I don't know, it's charging myself or um, like cobrar, you know.
Hmm. Yes, I do. Let me think about that.
So this is what I think every day about provide this to my family, to my wife, to my future son, and
Mm-hmm.
this combining with obviously the love of her and my son. This for me will become happiness. So I guess
Mm-hmm.
it walks together. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, a few good words there.
Yeah.
So you asked about cobrar. The word that comes to my mind is
Yeah.
to demand.
Oh yeah.
So you could say, I demand a lot of myself. Or you can also use it as a adjective. I have a very demanding boss. So he's always
Oh,
expecting
okay.
more and more and more. He
Yeah.
expects the best of you. So you can use like that. You use the verb charge. That's an interesting one. It does mean cobrar, but it's strictly in terms of like money. So I do a service and I
Yeah.
charge for the service, right? Demand is a little bit more philosophical, let's say,
Yeah.
kind of
Or more like financial situations, right?
for charge. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We talked a little bit about, I mentioned that I did like this verb. You repeated a few times to provide.
Yeah.
That I liked it. I
Yeah.
also used the noun provider. So you are a provider for your family.
Yeah. That's what I
Another,
think that all men should be, you know.
I was going to comment on that a little bit. It's the
Yeah.
typical, it's a very particular thing about men. I feel that we need to feel useful,
Yeah, exactly.
right? So if you, and I think that's something women don't always understand
Yeah.
that, like if I'm not, but then again, there are many lazy people that are happy to just be, we could say, dead weights.
Yeah.
So if you're a dead weight, you don't work, you don't help. You're just, I think we have the same expression in Portuguese, right? Peso morto, I think we say that.
Yeah. 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 We
So
say.
you're a dead weight. But I also thought, talking about provider, another way to say it, which is a bit more idiomatic, is breadwinner.
Breadwinner.
Yeah, again,
Can you
similar
explain
to,
more?
yeah, so again, it's similar to the Portuguese idea of ganha-pão.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So you can use it exactly as provider. So you could say it's important for me to be a provider, or it's
Okay.
important for me to be the breadwinner of my household. Uh, so to be the one that provides, to be the one that helps, and so on. Um, you did use the word comfortable, the adjective. So I think you said I need to provide comfortable situations.
Yeah.
And that kind of works. It's a bit awkward. So I would suggest instead of using comfortable, just change the type of word. So instead of using the adjective, change to the noun. I need to provide comfort to
All
my
right.
family. And then it sounds much better.
Oh, great. So breadwinner, that weight.
Breadwinner.
Oh, breadwinner. Sorry.
Yeah. Think about the word win.
Yeah, I was thinking about wine. Sorry.
That you're thinking about later.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
Ah, that's pretty good, man. I liked your answer. I think it was a very personal one. When
Yeah.
I saw that question, I thought about a piece of data that I heard once that I think it's around that money can buy happiness to a point, and that point
Yeah.
is usually something like $74,000 a year. They say that after that, you kind of it can still bring you happiness, obviously, but it's diminishing returns, right? So the amount of
Yeah.
money and doesn't
Uh,
correlate.
I've I saw a kind of how can I say, I don't know, it's a news or some kind of that I read in the social media. But when we achieve some kind, as you say, $100,000 a year, uh, the those kind of people start to look purpose and instead of more money, because he kind of reached that
Mm-hmm.
limit, and what will uh, came after that won't make difference, you know.
A good word we can use here, I think, instead of the word limit, for example, is the word milestone.
Milestone. Okay.
So a milestone, an important event in the development of a story or in someone's life. Yeah. So for
Okay.
example, I achieved $80,000 a year. That's a milestone, right? That's something that it's an important event. So you can say like after you reach that milestone, you start to look for purpose.
Oh yeah. And here in Brazil, we usually use a lot of words in English when we are talking in Portuguese. So you probably know that. And milestone, we the people here, for example, in my company, use a lot with projects.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
when here they are managed projects, the milestone
that's
us,
perfect.
and
Yeah.
is always showing the PowerPoint.
It's great. It's right here. So a stage in a project that can be used to
Yeah,
measure progress. Yeah. It's just this, you have different milestones. And so
yeah.
different, let's say, again, stages is the best word. I can't think of another word, but let's say,
Goals, or
uh,
goal is more a end line.
yeah, goal was more like an objective, right?
Okay.
So the milestones are the stages to reach that objective. So if
And
the goal is the finish line, a
yeah,
milestone is like the first part, the second part, the third part,
and
and then
more
you,
like we are building something.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's originally the word comes from, those when you're driving in a highway and you see those signs that say, in Brazil, it would be like quilômetro 12,
Oh yeah,
BR,
yeah.
na, na, na. When they say 100 kilometers to Rio de Janeiro, 100 kilometers to Niterói or something, then those are also milestones because they're literally telling you how many miles. Well, we use
Oh, okay.
kilometers in Portuguese,
Yeah.
but like how many miles it takes to get to the destination. So it's kind of
Oh,
this.
nice. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So you have that other more concrete meaning. There you go. So a stone at the side of the road that shows the distance to various places. It doesn't
No,
have to
it's
be a
literally
stone.
a stone. Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be a stone, but now, right?
We evolving.
Uh, Now we kind of use the post. So we also have mile post,
Yeah.
a post by the side of the road. So this would be more modern. But the word, we like the poetic. It is
Yeah.
more poetic to say
Yeah.
stone, to think about a stone than a sign. But there you go. And oh gosh, I was gonna say something else. So what was I gonna say?
So we talk about that way, comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
No, because
uh, I
you said
I
something. I mentioned milestone, but there was
future
something
son.
else.
I said about my
It's
future son.
Oh, I remembered. Um, it also connects, I think, to the pyramid of Maslow. I don't know if you know that one.
Maslow. The
Maslow's pyramid.
Yeah, the 1% of people.
I don't know. It's the Maslow pyramid of needs.
Oh yeah, I learned that in my college.
Mhm. So if we think about money, money usually covers the first two levels, the physiological needs, right? Air,
Yeah,
water, food. For safety needs, personal security, you have a job, right? You can pay for health insurance. But then it struggles to give you the rest of like friendship, intimacy, respect, desires to become, as you said, looking for purpose. I think it's very much here. So that's like the top of the
yeah,
pyramid of Maslow.
and the case that's obviously that we know there is a lot of people that's rich people and get some kind of depressive because probably miss this self actualization.
Yeah, I believe that apparently, I mean that's what I've read, that the richer a country is, the more people struggle with depression.
Okay.
Depression is a very much so a problem that you have when everything else is solved. So the levels of depression in African countries is very low in general because people are just trying to survive in many situations, right? They're trying to put food on the table and things like that. Like they don't have time to be depressed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, makes sense.
obviously it's a little bit more complicated than that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, his problems are all about surviving, so he doesn't have depression.
Yeah,
But
remove all our food.
yeah, meaning it's like it's very clear what the problem is, right? Oh, I need to pay my bills. That's my problem. When people
Yeah.
that have depression, the solution is make more money to pay the bills. The problem with depression is what is the solution? I don't know. Yeah. Or even if I know, maybe I don't think I can do it.
Yeah.
So there's
And we are when we are talking about, I don't know, 1% of people in the world, uh, they usually, yeah, definitely don't have this, doesn't have this kind of problem. They can get whatever they want. So
Mhm.
this kind of, I don't know.
Very good. The top 1%.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, pick the last question for us.
So people who earn more money are more successful and more respected. Do you think this is true?
Well, it depends on how they got the money, right?
Yeah.
If they earned the lottery, that's pure luck. If they took advantage of other people, like they are scammers or they're thieves, literally, so they stole the money, they're criminals. And well, with their organization, maybe, but in general, we don't really respect them as part of society. But I think that in general, yes. So if you see someone that drives a expensive car, wears expensive clothes, you kind of think, okay, so this person knows something that I don't because I don't drive that car. I don't wear those clothes. So I think we
Yeah.
do have that association. It's, I think it's a very first impression association, right? As
Yeah.
opposed to looking at someone and thinking, oh, this guy is he's just a regular guy. I'm not going to pay him a lot of money to do the service. I heard this story. I thought it was very interesting. If it was a real estate agent, so we talked about real estate earlier, and he
Yeah.
said, if you're a real estate agent and you show up with a car that is like, I don't know, $20,000, and then you show up with a Mercedes that is $100,000, and you
Yeah.
tell them, "Oh, my rate is this much. I need this. It's going to cost you this much to pay me to have blah blah blah." People are more likely to be like, "Yeah, this guy, I can see why he charges that. Because look at this car, so it does make sense." Whereas if the guy is driving like an old, I don't know,
Yeah.
in Brazil we would say Celta.
And in the most case, this guy, the real estate, a broker.
What's it? Yeah, yeah. It could be broker. I said agent,
Yeah.
a real estate agent.
Okay. And probably this car is being paid by a lot of state installments. But
Possibly.
yeah, but
Hmm.
if we talk about it, for example, a few weeks ago about the, I don't know how to translate this, but it's the CPI in Brazil about the gambling. The
Okay.
I don't know if this is the correct
Hmm.
translate, but you got it, the gambling in the tigrinhos, those stuffs.
Hmm.
Did you do you recognize this kind of earn money as a legal one, or
Uh-huh.
not?
Well, I consider it, well, it is legal, right? Because it's being allowed by the country for the
Yeah,
bets to operate, the betting companies. I think it's immoral,
yeah,
right? I would never, like, let's take, for example, Virginia as the example. She knowingly tricked her followers to spend money so she would make more money. So
yeah,
that is immoral, if you ask me. Like I think that's despicable. I'm not I'm not religious at all. I'm an atheist, but I would say she deserves to go to hell, right?
yeah.
But
Me
it
too. And
but it is legal, right?
yeah,
At the same time, like right now, we're having in the news. You can read about Léo Lins
yeah,
being apparently he's gonna go to jail if they don't
yeah.
overturn the decision.
I noticed that.
He made a joke. You could say I'm not a particular fan of Léo Lins. I don't know what the joke was, but fuck, it was a joke.
Yeah,
And which it's not nearly as immoral as tricking people. You're just saying words, but then the guy is gonna go to jail, which is also
yeah,
for doing something that, as far as I know, is not illegal. It's not illegal to be a comedian, tell jokes, but
yeah.
you know.
It's insane in this case, I guess.
Hmm.
A lot of people pay there. He I don't know. We go to a theater. We
Hmm.
pay for a ticket, and this is not allowed. Doesn't make sense.
Hmm. I'm trying to find the a good translation for CPI.
Yeah, I just say this the word in English.
Yeah. So, but I'm gonna have to check and let's see. Let's check with our best friend
Yeah, probably
in the
just a
world.
different combination of letters
No,
no words.
I remember there is another word for that.
Yeah.
There is a general word, but let's see.
Ah,
Let's ask
okay.
our good friend ChatGPT. He can help us with
Oh,
everything.
he's
In
always a good
Brazil,
friend.
we have something that is called a CPE. What can I call that in English? Comissão Parlamentar de Inquérito, blah, 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 blah. There you go. So it's a sort of investigation. I think this is the most important word.
Yeah.
So we have a parliamentary investigation, legislative investigation. If we're
Legislative.
uh-huh. So it's a special congressional committee set up to investigate major issues. Yeah, so we can double check by asking just what's the most common way to refer to that in English. Hmm. Congressional inquiry, parliamentary inquiry. Okay. Inquiry emphasizes that you're going to be asking questions, which is
Yeah.
kind of what they're doing, right? So they're asking people questions.
Yeah. It's not like an interview. It's more like it's an inquirement, right?
Yeah, inquiry, inquiry. This
Inquiry.
is the noun.
Ah,
Hmm.
okay.
Congressional inquiry. And so obviously CPI is it's the Brazilian name for that, but then you can
Yeah.
use this as a umbrella term to kind of like
Yeah.
make people understand.
Congressional inquire.
Mm-hmm. To inquire would be another way to say ask, right? But it has more of this formality element to it.
Yeah, when we are trying to say just one way to, I am here to ask your questions, but you won't be ask me nothing, right?
Kind of, yeah. So an inquiry, this is a good definition. An official process to discover the facts about something bad that has happened. Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go. That's essentially it. Something bad happened, Chigrinho. So we have a official process to deal with
Yeah.
that. And I don't know. I think uh, it's obviously. So I'm gonna go. What is the word I'm looking for here? I'm gonna go velhinho de WhatsApp right now.
Very good.
WhatsApp old man or WhatsApp geezer to
Yeah.
mention that, in my humble opinion, this is all a smokescreen.
Okay.
So a smokescreen, you can think about ninjas when they why Transformers? This is weird. But
Probably is the name of one.
yeah, probably. But there you go. So if you're a ninja and you want to escape, you throw the smoke screen so people don't see where you're going, so you can distract them. So you can use this word in a conversation as well to say, I think this is all a smoke screen to hide the fact of everything that happened with INSS, right? So the retirement program, because nobody's
Yeah,
talking about
probably.
that. But that is extremely serious, much more
Yeah, no
serious
one's
than
talking, right?
no, it's like it didn't happen.
Yeah. They are
But
investigating, and we we didn't we do not receive nothing, right?
yeah, the media is not talking about it either because I mean, I knew about the inquiry with what's her name? I just said her name. Virginia.
Yeah.
I saw it in the media. I don't know if there's been an inquiry on that. Maybe it has, but I haven't seen it on the media. I haven't seen it on social media. I don't know.
Yeah. The This is Brazil is a a phrase that we use a lot.
Sadder things have not been.
Yeah.
I have a student that just came back from Japan. He was traveling, and then he said, I have arrived. He sent me a message because we started the lessons, and I just told him I'm sorry, and he was
Why
like,
do you come
yeah,
back?
that's how I feel too. Yeah, so but there you go.
Yeah.
But that's it, man. I think we covered a lot. Very good. Thank you for joining me. Aqui vai a sua tarefa de casa. Escolha uma palavra ou frase que você aprendeu nesse episódio para usar intencionalmente no seu inglês essa semana. Você pode começar na nossa seção de comentários. Escolha uma das perguntas que a gente discutiu e deixe sua resposta. I look forward to reading your answer.